Picture this. You're standing at the foot of the cross. The sky has darkened, the earth has shaken, and you've just witnessed the death of Jesus. The Son of God who came to save the world has taken his last breath. Everything you thought you knew has crumbled in an instant. Hope seems lost, but what happens next? Is that the end? Was his death really the final word? Here's the truth. His death was not the end. It was the beginning of something far greater. 7 earth-shattering events took place after Jesus died, and each one speaks powerfully to who he was, why he came, and how his death changed everything. Today we're diving deep into those 7 things you may not have fully grasped before. Buckle up, because this is going to blow your mind and strengthen your faith in ways you never expected. Ready to discover how Jesus' death turned the world upside down? Let's go. 1. The temple curtain ripped in two. Let's kick things off with something huge that happened the very moment Jesus died. The curtain in the temple ripped in two. Now, this isn't just some random detail tossed into the story. This curtain was massive. It was over 60 feet tall, and it separated the Holy of Holies, the most sacred place on earth, from the rest of the temple. The presence of God was in there, and no one could enter except the high priest, and even then, only once a year. But when Jesus breathed his last, that curtain, that barrier, was torn from top to bottom. Do you get that? From top to bottom, not from bottom to top, like someone on the ground could do. This was God's doing, not man's. It was God saying, no more barriers, no more separation. What does this mean for you and me? It means that Jesus' death opened the way for us to directly enter God's presence. No more priests, no more rituals, no more distance. Through Jesus, the way is wide open, and we get to walk right into the heart of God. Let that sink in. Jesus' death didn't just break a piece of cloth, it broke down every wall that stood between us and God. That's freedom. That's grace. That's power. 2. Earthquake and resurrection of the dead. Next, let's talk about the earth itself responding to Jesus' death. I'm talking about the earthquake that shook the land the moment Jesus gave up his spirit. Now, this wasn't just some random tremor, it was a divine quake. A signal from God that something extraordinary had just happened. But here's the mind-blowing part. This earthquake caused graves to open, and many bodies of saints who had fallen asleep were raised to life. These weren't just random people. These were the faithful saints of old, walking out of their tombs after being dead for who knows how long. They didn't just rise to make a quick cameo, they walked into the holy city and appeared to many people. Think about that for a second. Jesus' death didn't just affect the people in that moment. It broke open the grave itself and made resurrection a reality. Those saints who were resurrected weren't just an interesting historical detail. They were a preview of what was coming. Jesus' death was the start of life conquering death. And here's the most incredible part. This isn't just a story from thousands of years ago. Because of Jesus' death, you and I have a hope of resurrection too. Death doesn't have the final say. Not anymore. That earthquake was just the first rumble of the new world Jesus was about to bring into being. 3. Jesus' body placed in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. All right, let's talk about something that might seem simple at first glance, but is packed with deep meaning. Jesus' body being placed in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. Joseph wasn't just some random guy. He was a rich, respected member of the Jewish council who had secretly followed Jesus. He was the one who took Jesus' lifeless body off that cross, wrapped it in linen, and laid it in his own tomb, a tomb that had never been used before. Now, why is this important? This wasn't just any grave. This was the fulfillment of prophecy. In Isaiah 53:9 it says that the Messiah would be buried in a rich man's tomb. Jesus, the Son of God, could have been laid to rest anywhere, but he was placed in a tomb that symbolized both honor and the confirmation of the Scriptures. Everything about Jesus' death was fulfilling God's plan. And get this, Jesus wasn't just being placed in any tomb. He was being placed in one that symbolized new life. The stone tomb, which would have felt like the final resting place for many, was just a setup for Jesus to break out of it in 3 days. His burial was a shadow of the resurrection to come. It was in that tomb that death was defeated once and for all. And because of that, we now have a living hope. Jesus' tomb wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of life after death. 4. Jesus descended to the dead. Now this one might surprise some of you. What exactly happened during the 3 days Jesus was in the tomb? After Jesus died, he didn't just lay there. No, Jesus descended to the dead. The Bible tells us in 1 Peter 3:18-20 that Jesus went to the realm of the dead, Hades or hell, where he proclaimed victory to the spirits imprisoned there. What's going on here? This is not some side trip. This is a strategic move. You see, Jesus didn't just die for us. He died for everyone, even for those who died before he came. His descent to the dead was the moment he declared victory over the powers of darkness, sin, and death itself. He went to the very place where evil thought it had triumphed, and he preached to those souls who had been waiting for the promise of redemption. Why is this significant? It's because Jesus didn't leave anyone behind. No matter when you were born or where you were in history, Jesus made sure that no one would miss out on his redemptive work. This moment reminds us that God's love and salvation extend beyond time and place. Jesus' death was for all. And because of that, no matter who you are or what your past is, you can stand assured that Jesus' victory covers you too. 5. The Roman centurion's declaration, "Truly, this was the Son of God." Let's talk about one of the most powerful moments that happened right after Jesus died. The Roman centurion, the man who had been in charge of Jesus' execution, looks up at the cross, sees the way Jesus died, feels the earthquake shaking the ground beneath him, and makes a jaw-dropping declaration, "Truly, this was the Son of God." Now think about this for a second. This wasn't some holy man. This wasn't a follower of Jesus. This was a Roman soldier, an officer in charge of the crucifixion, a man who had likely seen hundreds of executions. But when Jesus died, something about his death shook this centurion to his core. He looked at Jesus, beaten, bloodied, and dead on that cross, and he knew. He knew there was something divine about him. And that, my friend, is what Jesus' death does. It forces you to make a decision. It compels you to face the reality that this wasn't just any man who died on that cross. This was the Son of God. When you see the power of his death, it demands a response. For the centurion, it was a bold declaration. For us, it should be a life-changing realization. So, what about you? What does Jesus' death stir in you? Is it just a historical fact? Or is it the moment where you, like that centurion, declare him as the Son of God in your own life? 6. The outpouring of the Holy Spirit on the church. After Jesus died and was resurrected, he didn't just leave us to fend for ourselves. He promised the Holy Spirit, and let me tell you, when the Holy Spirit came, it was a game changer. Before his death, Jesus told his disciples in John 16:7, "It is for your good that I am going away. Unless I go away, the Advocate will not come to you." And just a few weeks after his resurrection, on the day of Pentecost, that promise was fulfilled. The Holy Spirit descended in a mighty way, and everything changed. The disciples, who were once hiding in fear, were now bold, empowered, and on fire. Peter, who had denied Jesus 3 times, now stood before thousands, proclaiming the gospel with power and authority. And in one day, 3,000 people gave their lives to Christ. The Holy Spirit was not just a gift for the disciples. He is a gift for you and me today. Because of Jesus' death and resurrection, the Spirit now dwells within every believer, empowering us to live for Christ, to be witnesses, and to do things we could never do on our own. When Jesus died, He made way for the Spirit to come and equip the church for the mission. And that mission, to spread the message of hope, love, and redemption to the world. The Holy Spirit is our helper, our guide, and our power source in this life. 7. The Great Commission, the call to spread the gospel. Now, let's finish strong with the final and most impactful thing that happened after Jesus' death. The Great Commission. After His resurrection, Jesus appeared to His disciples and gave them, and us, the ultimate mission. He said in Matthew 28:19-20, "Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit." Think about it. Jesus didn't just rise from the dead to sit back and relax. He rose from the dead to launch a movement, a global movement, where His followers, you and me included, would go out and share the good news of His death, burial, and resurrection with the world. The Great Commission wasn't just a nice suggestion. It was a command. And it's a command that we're all called to be part of. Whether you're a stay-at-home parent, a business professional, or a student, this mission applies to you. You are called to go and make disciples. Jesus' death, His resurrection, and the power of the Holy Spirit have all equipped you for this. You are part of God's plan to reach the world. So, here's the question. How are you living out the Great Commission? Are you sharing the gospel with those around you? Are you being the hands and feet of Jesus in your community? The world needs what we have, what Jesus has given us, and it's up to us to spread it.